And so if I press that button, hi everybody, how you doing? Cool. Copy asks straight off, is this turning into Half-Life 3? Pretty sure it's not, hopefully. Let's see, can I get some confirmation that anybody besides me is actually able to see the live stream? Because that would be awesome. And I'm just going to boot up our favorite little game there. Yeah, there we go. Hi, Commander Keen. How you doing? Cool. So, let's see. There's a few basic things I've been working on that I can show off. And there's a lot of stuff that, for the most part, exists only as code here. So I kind of wanted to show off both of the things I've been working on. Jacob says, happy birthday. Turns out it is my birthday. I am turning 30 this year. Apparently I'm supposed to be an adult or something. Paperwork hasn't come in the mail yet. I'm still kind of waiting on that. I'm hoping that comes soon. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. But as I'm turning 30, let's see, I think Yegert and or Copti. Copti, are you Yegert? Yegert, are you Copti? Has requested that a particular Denmarkian, Danish probably, tradition is going to come into play, and he has requested that since he is not here to do it, that I put pepper on myself. So this is the pepper grinder. We don't have just plain pepper, but we got a pepper grinder. So I guess we're doing a little bit of tradition here. Oh, that's a weird sensation, guys. Why do you do this? What am I supposed to be getting out of this? Well, at least I'm a well-seasoned programmer now. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about ScrumbleShip instead of peppering the guy making it. It's like I have the most flavorful case of dandruff in the history of the world. Why have I done this again? Oh. This is a strange tradition indeed. Why is this done? God, it gets so everywhere. It gets everywhere. This is going to be the whole live stream. It's just me sitting here petting my head continuously. Ah. I smell like pepper. Oh well, it's not a bad smell. Okay, so let's get back to talking about our favorite little game here. Cool. You should be able to notice a couple of new things, like this little green guy and that little red guy. What are these? What's going on? Well, cool. These guys are highlights. The green one is the direction I'm traveling. Let's see. Green one, shaped like that, is the direction I'm traveling. Behind me is the opposite direction I'm traveling. So if I fire at that, it goes away, and I slow down. It only shows up when you're going fast enough, though. There we go. Yeah. Russian Gamer asks if the green thing is the velocity vector, and it basically is. You've got the right idea there. And they do, like if you move one off screen, you can see this little red guy down here. If I move him off screen, he points. So down there in the lower half of the screen, you see it pointing, and I can put it in the middle, and I can actually indicate positions on ships. So with these two tools, I need to hook a GUI up to them so that you guys can actually say, hey, I want to go here. But with these two tools, you can do that. You can get from point A to point B, so long as point A and point B are stationary. which they will probably always be. Commander Keen points out that the green marker is prograde and retrograde, and he is absolutely correct. That is exactly what that is. And that little red marker also has a retrograde. So what you could do, and it's not going to work very well because of a bug in ScrumbleShip that I haven't bothered to fix yet. So many of those, so many things. So there's the retrograde. So we can accelerate towards the pro marker, and when we decide we've gotten close enough, which I don't have a GUI for yet, but I will, we can fire towards the moving retrograde marker and hopefully slow down. There we go. Cool. So we've got those available now, and I'm just going to run the game because that's easier. And then I'm going to sneeze. Jaeger, why did we do this? I should have done it at the end of the live stream. Then at least I would be sneezing alone in my own home. Ugh. The whole room smells like pepper. Okay. Okay, so the second thing that I've been working on is a series of back-end systems, there's quite a few of them it turns out, to be able to transmute voxels. So, as you've seen before, if I go over to this mining rig and I grab this mining laser, I can go over here and I can mine stuff. Here I'm mining uranium. Cool. So I can hit I, and it will show me all the voxels that I currently have in my inventory. I have 5 kilovoxels, so 5,000 voxels of uranium, 375 osmium, 4,000 nylon, 1,000 polycarbonate, and somehow I got 16 dead hardwood somewhere around here. I'm not sure where that is, but I believe it. So we've got this inventory screen. For the moment, this is completely unlimited. You can carry everything in the universe in your back pocket, and it's fine. In the future, that's not going to be the case. In order to carry more than a small amount of items, you're going to have a ship that's classified as yours, and you're going to have to connect it up to the inventory system. So you'll have a hold block, and you'll create your holds, and your holds will be the ones that collect up these voxels. Let's see. The Russian Gamer says, using a strange mix of metric and other things. Yeah, actually. What we've got here, these are going to be computer-based kilo, etc. Kilo, mega, giga. They're all 1024 of each other. So they're the computerized version, although for the most part you guys will never notice that, and you can just think of it as 1,000. That's a good point, Jacob. I could definitely make it 5.2 kilovoxels. That wouldn't be difficult at all. But for the most part, and we'll get into why pretty soon, it's not going to matter hugely how many you have. You're gonna be caring about, okay, I've got 50 kilovoxels, not okay, I've got 5 voxels of the thing. So you're going to be working in big numbers, and the bigger they are, the less precise you're going to need to be. So for now, you're going to be able to carry your inventory around in your back pocket, but eventually you'll need to hook it up to ships. And I've got partial systems for sending this to and from the server. They are not entirely implemented yet, but a lot of the bits are. So I just need to tighten those up. So once you've got your inventory, oh, the Ensorceler came and visited. We can go over to this foundry block, and you can see various incarnations of it. This is the working incarnation. The idea is that you use it, and you've got various recipes. For example, we've got this steel recipe where we could get about 4,000 iron and about 82 carbon, and we could combine those together to make 4 kilovoxels worth of steel. And we've got brass and bronze, and then we can also refine materials. Commander Keen asks if they could be done in blocks. They could actually be done in blocks. That wouldn't be too difficult, but a lot of the times it's not going to matter a huge amount how many solid blocks you have, because I'm going to heavily incentivize using blocks besides the solid block, so that you'll have thin blocks that you'll be using, or you'll have Whipple shields, which are kind of a hollow shielding that turns out to work really well in space. But yeah, each solid block would be 4,096 voxels, or 4 kilovox roughly. But we've also got these fun recipes. So chondrite. Chondrite is the thing asteroids are made out of for the most part. You'll still get little pockets of other materials in them, and even some asteroids like the S group asteroids that are completely different. But the vast majority of asteroids are composed of chondrite. So it's really important that I make chondrite useful. So I have been poring over paper after paper after paper after paper, trying to figure out what is in chondrite. And it's difficult, because the answer is everything. Chondrite's just, it's a big blob of stuff, and there's stuff in it, and there's various types of chondrite. And so what I've managed to settle on here is a roughly average, for all the types of chondrite that there are, a roughly average breakdown of what is in the thing. So if you were to take this foundry here, which I have just accidentally mined, shouldn't have done that. No, this one is also working. Okay, so let's grab our foundry. Place our foundry. Cool. That's not supposed to place that direction. Oh, I need to get Cyrek on that. Or myself. One of the two. Cool. So what you would do is you would put in a block, you would mine chondrite out on the asteroid until you've got tons of it. You've got a lot of it. Numerous dozens or possibly hundreds of kilovoxels worth. And then you would bring it back to your ship, where you've got a bunch of these foundries all set up in a row, and then you would start to fill them. You would go, okay, this guy, refine, chondrite, go. And you would go on down the line, and they would take chondrite, and over a certain amount of time, they would convert it into carbon, iron, nickel, water, sulfur, and you could come back at a later date and harvest all the materials out of these foundry blocks. And we've also got other fun recipes, like for diamond. Basically, every material that you can't mine is going to be craftable in some way. Now, whether that's, we're going to have several different ways of doing that. We're going to have the foundry, which is this block here. We're going to have, somewhere along my big block list here, I have it. See, there's the foundry. We're going to have a shop terminal that is somewhere in here. It's down at the end. Well, I'm not sure. It's in there somewhere. Let's see. We're going to have a shop terminal so that you can buy and sell things from planets. For the time being, you're going to be able to buy things like butter, because I don't have the cows hooked up yet. I don't have them functional. So you'll be able to sell the materials that you mine, purchase materials like butter, and get all these cool materials that you would otherwise not have access to. And then, I forget who it was that I was talking to about this, but I realized that we could use a very similar situation with something like a particle accelerator and be able to disassemble things down to their constituent protons, neutrons, electrons, but probably hydrogen atoms to keep it simple, and then reassemble them into other materials. It would take a ton of energy to do that, because I'll make the process quite lossy. But it would allow you to, over time, transmute any substance into any others, which would make it so that, which would make it so that you could create really unusual substances like plutonium, which is otherwise quite difficult to get your hands on. Copti asks whether it would be possible to automate the foundries. I think what I'm going to do there, eventually I do want to get the AI red shirts going in the game, so that you have a few AI players, and they would be able to automate this system. They would be able to go out, mine from the asteroid, come back, put the block in, do all this, so long as you had correctly set them up to be able to do that and given them the appropriate resources. So yeah, it's a possibility. I don't want the game to get too heavy into automation, but we'll probably have a little bit of it as time goes by. Cool. One of the things I did that hopefully no one has noticed is that I ripped out the graphics backend for 2D drawing. It turns out, you can see all this text on the screen here. It turns out that we were having a problem with the text taking quite a while to render, and I implemented a little stopgap thing that fixed that, but it made the text jump up and down, and it was never that good. And I finally found a library called NanoVG that does all of this really, really well. And so I realized it wouldn't take more than 2 or 3 days to swap them out, and I was basically right. It took about 2 or 3 days. And so now all of our graphics, all of our 2D graphics, are drawn by this system called NanoVG, which has made the 2D graphics go from a 2 to 3 to 4 frame per second drop to nothing. They're free. We get the 2D graphics for free now. So that's nice. You can see all of these 2D graphics are now drawn by NanoVG, and the difference is fairly minimal in how they look visually. Yeah, the Copti asks if the wiggly text is gone. Our text used to jump up and down as something happened, and that bug has been fixed. Yeah, Jacob asks if the words are glowing, and they are. That was another thing that I got for free with NanoVG. I can render the text multiple times in various levels of fuzziness, and if I do that, I get either glowing text if I do it one way, or everything else has a little subtle drop shadow on it. So if I go into the block menu, you can see that all this text has a little block shadow, which is very difficult to see, but man, does it make it look so much nicer. Copti says I have failed him for removing the wiggly text. As does Jacob. Apparently the wiggly text was very, very popular. Okay, this is something that I set up. So one day I hadn't had a lot of tea or coffee for a while, and then I drank about three pots of coffee, and I decided, you know what I need to do? I need to write descriptions for everything in the game. So I wrote descriptions for literally every single item in the game. All of these. You can see them up here. let's get, like thin plate, single vox armor. Can be difficult to work with, but allows you to enclose huge areas. And then the material also has a description. Excellent to make and strong, steel's an excellent all-around building material. And I've figured out a way to expose various capabilities, statistics about the materials. For example, aluminum here is pretty light. An aluminum, no, I don't have one here. Oh well. Aluminum is fairly light compared to other metals. And it has a really high conductivity. So you see that here. You see density very low, conductivity high, and I've color-coded them because I thought that looked cool. And you can see all of the physical properties that each material will have. And you can see, okay, if I want to build a thin plate out of aluminum, I can build 0 blocks of that. I don't have the appropriate voxel requirements. So we're getting close to that. Let's see, what do I have? Let's do a little bit of mining here. And let's gather up a few important materials. Oh, I also redid a portion of the sound background. It's probably not that noticeable to most people, but all of our sounds loop a lot better now, or at least should on most machines under most workflows. At the moment, I doubt that anything is working terribly well because of the streaming software, but we'll see. Okay, so now we've got quite a few materials. Yep, throw that tool away. Let's see, we didn't get any of those. We've got 6 out of 256 gold. That's probably not going to do her. Let's look into the plastics here. Okay. Okay. So we mined quite a few peak voxels, and we can make a total of 12 peak thin plates with the voxels that we've got in our inventory. Commander Keen asks why I didn't print the actual numbers on the screen. That's a fairly good question. Let's see. And basically what it breaks down to is that for the majority of these items, it doesn't matter that much if it's slightly better or slightly worse at something. It just really matters whether it's really high or really low, or somewhere in the middle for some things. So actually exposing the individual numbers associated with these, I didn't think was worth the screen real estate. I thought it was more important to give you guys a simplified version of this. But all of the math, all of the numbers are available in the data files. Assets, not manifests, assets, text, materials.stf. So we can go steel, and you can see here that all of the properties of steel are recorded and do have numbers associated with them. But because for the most part it just matters in a broad sense what items are good at, I've simplified that down to this color coding system here. Like plastics are fairly cheap, but fairly cheap and light, but they don't have particularly good materials. They don't have particularly good. They're not particularly conductive, and they're not particularly good at resisting melting, that kind of thing. I could probably put that in there, Copty. It wouldn't take much to display the numbers color-coded instead of the words. Let's see. Let's grab something else here. Yeah, there's no particular reason I couldn't put numbers in there. Well, Imp Camper says he's foregoing sleep for this. I hope it's worth it. I'm thinking that for the next live stream, I will just go ahead and do it on a weekend again. It was kind of fun, the idea of doing it on my birthday, and it's kind of nice. Yeah, I'm here on my birthday, I'm doing the thing I love, that's cool. But at the same time, it seems to be kind of inconvenient for everybody else, and I don't know, I could have just as well done it tomorrow and it would have been fine. There's nothing magical about a birthday, you know. But let's get back into this. Okay, where was I? There we go. So we're starting to get to the Copti asks about ammonium. Yeah, it's there. I just need to uncomment it. I believe I have almost all of its physical properties correctly sussed out even. It's even got like a color and a shine to it. Commander Keen asks if the Danes spray themselves with ammonia on their 40th birthdays. And if that's the case, then I'm not doing the Danish thing for my 40th, just the 30th. We're ending it here. Okay, where was I? We were talking about stuff? Probably. So everything has a description now, which is kind of fun and should help particularly new players, but really anyone, get an idea. Like, insanely lightweight, aerogel doesn't transmit heat. That's all really good information to know if you're trying to figure out what to use aerogel for. Commander Keen brings up a really amazing point. So, Commander Keen broke our heating engine. He did it accidentally, and it's probably an awesome thing that he's done it. It turns out there's this property called the latent heat of fusion, and I think the other one is the latent heat of vaporization. And it's the amount of energy that you have to put into a substance to make it melt, even when it's at its melting point. I've got a block of ice here because it's about 5,000 degrees where I live, and so I'm doing the live stream with ice literally on me. So Commander Keen discovered that the latent heat of fusion was several orders of magnitude bigger than what I had assumed it would be. Which means that not only do I need to actually pay attention to it, but the way in which I have stored the heat of the game, the temperature of each block in the back end of the game, is wrong. I can't store heat like that. What I actually have to do is store the energy, the heat energy present in a block, and then based on the physical properties of the block, I need to then compute the temperature. This is going to be a change. That's going to take me several days to implement when we get a full listing of all the latent heats of all the materials in the game. And it's going to make some things a lot harder to mine. It's going to make some things probably easier to mine. And it's really going to change, and we're going to... The physics of the thing will get a lot more accurate, which is exciting. It'll be a little bit of work, but I am glad that we are doing something that makes the physics more accurate. So Commander Keen has been kind enough to volunteer to go through all the materials, all 500 materials, right? I don't know how many there are. It's got to be like 100 by now. And he's finding the latent heat of fusion, and he's finding the latent heat of vaporization for all of them. And that will allow me to do the appropriate math on the heat engine back end and on the mining back ends and everywhere else that touches temperature and voxels. Commander Keen points out that he's already found the latent heat of fusion and the latent heat of vaporization for the most important material, which, as you all know, is absolutely butter. We've got it in here. Where did I put that? How about I close a few of these? Make it a little easier for me to get around. Yeah, I don't... Butter is not a metal. It's probably an organic. There it is. Material, butter. Pure bovine butterfat. Delicious and rare in space. Why do you want to build a spaceship out of this again? So we've also got descriptions for a lot of the... like the ship orientation block here. Defines which directions are forward and up for your ship controls. That seems like it's extremely useful information, and every block has that. I've also managed, like, component weapons terminal. Not yet functional. Or, let's see. Mostly under the cosmetic section here, but the research station is labeled as cosmetic. So we have finally a way to tell new players, hey, this doesn't work yet, or hey, this probably does work yet. If you can figure out how to make it go. Cool. So I'm hoping that with these, just to jump back to a slightly earlier topic, I'm hoping that with these markers, as I expose them in a way that you guys can really interact with them, they make it way easier to fly, by the way, because you just point the marker where you want to go. Like, let's say we wanted to head right between that duck's legs. Well, the marker's there, so what we're going to do is we're just going to sail right on through. Look at that. Slick as you like. But I'm hoping that as I expose the systems so that you guys can select where you want to go, that it will allow you... Sorry, people are saying things. But I'm hoping that as I expose this system and allow people to figure out where they want to go and where that is relative to them, we'll spread out quite a bit, and we won't all have this big clump at the center like tends to happen currently. You can see all the asteroids as black blobs in the distance there. Let's see, there were a couple of questions. Commander Keen asks, is the cosmetic tag for the research station temporary, or is that the final plan? Ooh, excuse me. For some blocks, that's the final plan. I do intend to have cosmetic furniture blocks that don't do anything and are just there for either visual appeal or like the hazard bar, where it's more for informing people, hey, this is a hazardous area, keep out. So anything that's not hugely functional, I would like to tag cosmetic so that people don't expect it to do anything. As for whether the research station itself will remain cosmetic, I don't know. I haven't really thought up a good use for it, but it's a really cool block, so I think it'll stay in the game regardless. Ah! The Ensorceler asks a really interesting question. Will mining certain materials leave red-hot gouges instead of the current cold mining system? That's a good question. That would be difficult to implement with the backend we've got now, but it's not impossible. It is by no means impossible. So, maybe. That is a definite maybe in response to your question, and we'll see. We'll see if I manage to get there. Let's see. Copti mentions that I'm wearing an orange shirt. I am. I got 2 of these. This is nice. It works. let's see, what else have I been working on? We've covered the Foundry system. We've covered the voxel inventory, which we currently don't have because I just restarted the game. We've covered the GUI backend redesign. And the things that I've been working on recently and trying to improve, well, there's two major things that I've been trying to improve. Number one, I opened up ScrumbleAuth and ScrumbleGet, which are two back-end pieces of support system that will allow you to, well, force you, more rather. Let's just be honest. It's going to force you to make your name on the ScrumbleShip website the same as your name in the game, and tie your account to that permanently. It's a relatively complicated system, but large swaths of it are done, large sections. But I need to convert it away. I wrote it originally when our networking backend was different, and I really want to convert it to the newer networking backend. So I spent some time and I converted some files that are used all over the place in all of these. That's an interesting question. Oh, sorry, I got distracted by ImpCamper. ImpCamper, are you going to summarize this in a post afterwards? Usually I don't. Usually I just let the video go up out there on the internet and let people watch it at their leisure. But I'm not sure that that's not a great idea. Summarizing everything that I've been talking about may actually be a really good thing. Like post the video, like here you can watch it in all its stuttering, umming glory. Or here's the quick, much better written summary. Cool. Commander Keen asks a good question that well, I'll get to that in just a moment, Commander Keen. So, one of the things I've been working on is upgrading the ScrumbleGet and ScrumbleAuth backends. And to do that, I've been pulling them apart into libraries and basically just upgrading them. It's slow work, but it means that we've now got a centralized repository for several different types of ScrumbleShip network communication, which I'll be able to open source. So if anyone feels like making open source tools that communicate with certain sections of ScrumbleShip, then there'll be libraries already created and present and released for them to be able to do that. And it also helps my programming because I'm no longer trying to copy things and maintain two different files. I'm maintaining one file. Yeah, ImpCamper. We do have some basic animations in the game, so let's get rid of that. So the fire is dancing. It was meant to be like on fire, but we got more of a dance going on. You're right. Okay. The Foundry also has a working animation that I think looks pretty cool. Cyrek built this for us. This Foundry is continually working because it's a test Foundry. Cool. So the ScrumbleGet, ScrumbleAuth thing has been one of the things I've been doing. I spent a few days on that, and it's moving forward. It's progressing. It's something that I would like to have out either at the next release or shortly after. But it's important, but not very exciting, basically. The other big thing that I've been working on is designing the appropriate systems so that everything that you're seeing as far as the voxels can transmit across the network. That turns out to be kind of tricky. The ScrumbleShip server, the game server that each client communicates with, isn't really aware of voxels. It doesn't know what you're talking about when you say, hey, you know, the voxel at whatever. It basically only knows blocks. It looks at the block level and that's about it. So we're going to have to expand it, but we're going to try to expand it very, very minimally. And doing that's tricky. The system that I've figured out is that we send two different types of updates while mining. And I've been working on that and getting them implemented, but they're not implemented to the point where they're functional and other people can see each other mine. But the first type looks at the blocks around you and sends them to the server. Say, okay, the blocks around me look like this. I've been working on them, they look like this. And the server goes, great, thanks, I'll write that down. The other type of block update is going to be much more common, and it's a mining event. So what that means is, I'm going to go grab a laser. When you grab a mining torch, turn it on, and start to mine, there are about 30 events per second that are happening right here. Pardon, the phone went off. There's about 30 events per second happening that you're mining. You can see that just a little bit. So, with each one of those events, we want to send data to the server. And what we can send is, okay, this event happened at XYZ location. This event had a certain strength to it, and this event was pointed in a certain direction. And with that information, any other ScrumbleShip client can figure out what you're doing. So let's say maybe once while you're mining, not at all times, but while you're mining, once every 30 seconds you send a nearby block update to the server, and it writes down what you've done to the ship around you. That's great, but there's still going to be like 30 seconds where no one else is seeing what you're doing. During that time, your client is going to be automatically sending these events to all the other players that can see what's going on. And this allows me to do something really cool. It allows me to have the server ask the other players if what you're reporting makes sense. So if you have a mining event, and on your screen, let's say you're a dirty, rotten scoundrel cheater, and on your screen you have just mined the entire asteroid. That's fine. You send that event up to the server. The server will go, okay, one mining event here, here, and here, location, direction, and power, and it will put limits on this, and then it will send that data over to somebody else that can see what you're doing and say, okay, George, your name is George for now, George says that he just mined an entire asteroid's worth of voxels with a mining event at this location. And so Bob, our secondary guy, is going to go, okay, his client is going to automatically compute, okay, over there, I see this amount of stuff, and with that level of a mining event, George would have mined 7 voxels. And it sends that back to the server. And with a little bit of complicated math, a little bit of fudging, because of how the back end of it works, I can pretty reliably determine when cheating events are happening. And I'm going to be relatively soft on it, and I'll just kick the players involved. Like, okay, you're having an issue, kick the players involved, roll back whatever mining event was an issue. Imp Camper. It needs to only send the events regularly to nearby players, otherwise lag will happen. You're correct. I need to limit it to nearby players. However, one really clever thing I can do is pick a mining event at random and send it to another guy at random. Let's say that you have 100 people on the server, and 10 of them are mining or whatever, and one of them is cheating. Well, every now and again, the server is going to take that mining event, go, yeah, okay, I'll I'll see if this is a valid mining event, and he will push it over to a random player on the server, and that player's client will be set up to check. It will download the appropriate ship, get all the information it needs, do the check, send it back to the server, so that you can check that. And then the server can go, oh, something funny is here, roll back the mining event, kick the player involved. Done. There are still several exploits that could be done there, but it really limits the effectiveness of any kind of mining hacking, because it means that when you start to mining hack, you will get random drops very, very rapidly. And neither of these two systems will strongly lag players. They'll only be getting a full stream of updates, which are very light. There's very little data in an update. There's very little data in an individual mining update. They are actually a little bit lighter than like a movement packet, which is kind of remarkable. So they're not going to lag nearby players, and if the server occasionally checks with a faraway player, which was something I intended from the start, then the occasional checks shouldn't slow down faraway players either. Cool. Commander Keen asks, what about if someone leaves a block half mined and someone else joins after that? Does the server store mining events? Okay, so earlier I talked about a type of update where the player looked around them at all the blocks that they have recently mined and sent that up to the server. That will be the only thing the server itself writes down as far as what the blocks around you look like. I want to do that. At the current, I'm thinking once every 10 seconds, but depending on lag and depending on how much data there is, I may slow that down or speed that up. But once every few seconds, the player will look around, will gather all the data, and the server will write down what just happened. So the mining events are a separate system from this. The mining events are what controls what voxels your inventory receives, but the server doesn't immediately or directly store the results. The downside of this system, it has a downside, is that if the server crashes or your client crashes in the time between sending the server events to the server and sending the block update to the server, you will have the correct inventory, but the blocks will come back. So you will have more stuff than you should. But both of those should be relatively rare, and if that starts becoming an issue, there is a workaround I can do with recording the mining events as a separate buffer, and then sending that data to another client and saying, hey, what does this section look like? Basically, the server is going to outsource most of the voxel work to clients, and is going to communicate with them. So I've been designing that system and starting to get it implemented in the background, and it's going well. I think it'll work well. And I think its upsides, which are the fact that it's very bandwidth efficient, are gonna really make up for its downsides, which is that it has the potential to not be voxel perfect. Imp Camper, you are correct. But that leaves a signature. I have thought about that. Any kind of cheating that leaves an obvious signature, I'm not going to be too worried about. like the constant crashing. If someone is getting on your server and is constantly crashing, just boom, 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 for 20 minutes at a time, you can go and, as a server administrator, look at them and go, yeah, you're cheating, and kick them off the server. I'd like to leave that mostly up to the server administrators to deal with cheaters, but I want to give them powerful tools so that you can look and go, yep, that's a cheater, all right. Copty asks if we get an auto updater. A little earlier in the live stream, I talked about things called ScrumbleAuth and ScrumbleGet. ScrumbleGet is an auto updater and also an authenticator. It is mostly written, but some sections of its backend need to be rewritten. I didn't do them correctly. So yes, we are getting an auto updater. I'm not exactly sure the time frame, 1 to 2 months, somewhere in there, I'm hoping. But it is relatively high on the list because it is tied in with all the authentication stuff. Cool. Cool. Well, I think I've covered the vast majority of stuff that I wanted to cover, and I wanted today's live stream to be a little bit shorter than the others, just for watchability standards and because it's at an unusual time. So we're going to start to wrap things up, but before we do that, are there any other questions that people have to get out about all this cool stuff? Yeah, Copty. Copty asks, so it's like a client. The auto updater is called ScrumbleGet. It is a very small binary, about 300 kilobytes. What it does is you're gonna download this thing from ScrumbleShip.com. You're gonna put in your website username, your website password, and you're gonna click go. And it will have options for if you want to update to the bleeding edge or if you want to update to the full version. You can do either. It'll go and get what's called an auth chit. I'm making my own system, for better or worse, and it's based on auth chits. You get an expirable auth chit that authorizes you to play ScrumbleShip on servers and authorizes you as an individual person for a set amount of time. When it expires, ScrumbleGet automatically goes and gets another one for you, unless you're a pirate, in which case ScrumbleGet goes, hey dude, you're a pirate. But yeah, so long story short, ScrumbleGet will download ScrumbleShip for you, keep it updated for you, and correctly set your account so that you won't have to type in your name when you're launching ScrumbleShip. Let's see. Jacob and Copy both ask about cake. I did get a birthday. I did get a birthday lunch, but my family is having another birthday lunch for me. I'm getting a lot of birthday lunches. Having another birthday lunch for me tomorrow. At which time I suspect there will be cake. So, cake's tomorrow. I did get a cool packet from my dear friend William. I'll show it here in a second. Which has, Lego. Has all these crazy, here. There we go. It has all these crazy Japanese snacks. So that's kind of like cake, right? There's candies, there's weird giant Cheeto things, that kind of stuff. Let's see. TCC asks okay, several other people say that I should build a cake in ScrumbleShip. That's amusing. I like that idea. Several years ago, we actually built a cake in ScrumbleShip for my then girlfriend and artists for ScrumbleShip, Nizumi. We built her a birthday cake in ScrumbleShip. That was kind of cool. let's see, TCC. Oh, I just remembered. Will the tech tree / voting thing be happening soon? Absolutely. I'm trying to push through. It's taking me months longer than I thought it would. But I'm getting there. Oh, I'm getting there, and it's so exciting. I'm trying to push through to the point where we have voxel mining done. We got the voxel mining done, and I'm trying to push through to the point where ScrumbleGet and ScrumbleAuth function. Again, I'm hoping sometime in the next month and a half for those two, somewhere in that time frame. And then I'll do a full release, and from that point on, all ScrumbleShip is going to be directed by the voting system. So, yep, the proper voting system is coming. I haven't forgotten about it, and I've just been pushing towards this this one release. Copty asks if I got any birthday Lego. I think that might be a Danish thing too. Last time I got birthday Lego, I was small. I was very small. I remember liking them though. Admittedly, what do I need with birthday Lego? Have you seen the thing I built? This is like Legos on steroids. Cool. So I think we've run out of questions for the time being. So I'm going to wrap the live stream up. It's a little bit of a shorter one, but I think we covered all our bases. I think there's a lot of cool stuff that's happening in ScrumbleShip, and I'm going to get this release out fairly soon, and we're going to have a great time. Yeah. Commander Keen points out Lego with lasers. So yeah, I think we covered our bases really well. I want to do another live stream. This one, there was a little bit of time lag. I want to do another one before another month comes out. Probably, hopefully, sometime around the launch of all these cool features. Sometime around the launch of all these cool features. I'll release them. I'll make a new trailer video with the modern look of ScrumbleShip, and yeah, we'll do all that fun stuff. Copty wishes me a fun birthday. Thank you guys for being here and sharing it with me. That's kind of one of the reasons I wanted to do this. The game means a lot to me, and I really appreciate everyone pulling together and helping me make the thing. So yeah, I'll go have a fun rest of my birthday, and I hope you guys have a fun rest of your day, okay? Bye.